project in here. It is a hefty knitting project. I am so excited about it. I haven't even chatted with you guys about it. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen it. Good morning. Have you guys seen the snow outside? Is it not magnificent? Oh, and my Christmas cactus is in bloom. I don't know what's been going on with her, but she's been blooming twice a year, which is really, really nice. 2 times in the winter, and I have enjoyed that so much. Oli is keeping me company down here. Here he is, and I will be sitting right up here. So how are you guys today? I hope that you are doing well. I had a really, really wonderful past 2 weeks. If you guys are a Patreon, you would have seen that Robert, my husband, surprised me this Friday. We had planned on taking the girls to my parents for the weekend, and Oli is like drunk asleep. He wants to get up and walk around, but he just looks so tired and flops back down on his bed. I think he wants to come sit on my lap, but he's too tired to come and do it. Oh my goodness, he is so sweet. So Robert surprised me and took me to Chicago. It was such a fantastic weekend of great coffee, great food, amazing improv. We went to 2 improv shows. It was just so much fun. We've never done anything like that alone, but it was great. Oli missed us, definitely, but the neighbors came over and kept him a little bit of company while we were away, but goodness, he is really searching for attention. I have recently revamped and republished a pattern of mine, and that is the Dale Socks pattern. This is the tree motif, and then we have a heart motif. So that is on Ravelry now. I know a bit of you have purchased yarn for it. A bit of you have been asking for kits for the pink version. And this is Scandinavia, and the white is Fresh Sheets. And this is just a really enjoyable knit. I love this. I hope that you guys love it. Thank you so much for supporting that pattern. I have been knitting on some socks over the past 2 weeks. I don't think you will have seen these at all. They're out of a colorway called Hacker's Paradise. It is a color that Robert came up with. He had been telling me after I finished his last pair of socks out of our Hygge colorway that he wants a pair of really, really dark, almost black socks with speckles of pink and yellow neon. And so I came up with this colorway. The speckles they're phenomenal throughout here. I really love the way that they ended up knitting with the way that I dyed the yarn. I'm knitting it out of course, our soft sock base, and enjoying it so much. I have 1 sock down, and then I have the next sock on the needles. I am finished with the leg. I'm now knitting the foot, and I have these really, really fun progress keepers on here that I put out with our German Christmas yarn club. It is Schnitzel, red cabbage, and Klöße, which are potato dumplings. It's one of my favorite meals. It's one of our family's favorite meals, and I love it. I've been wanting a progress keeper out of this for quite some time, and I knew that when we were doing a German Christmas yarn club with the charm, I had to have this plate of food. So I'm really happy with it. We don't have a lot of Hacker's Paradise in the shop. I think I've just dyed it up on soft sock, merino cashmere nylon, and plump merino. There is a super important topic to talk about right now. I wanted to talk about this in the beginning, but I completely forgot. on Instagram, I mentioned that in the spring of 2020, so very, very soon, we will be completely shutting down the web shop of a homespun house. That means no yarn will be going out, no yarn will be dyed. The shop will be completely empty. There is no way that you can order from us. We will not be working. There will be no emails coming out from our end. And we will be reopening the shop in the fall. The reason for this is because some of you asked if I'm pregnant, which I think is really sweet and hopeful, I imagine, from those of you who have asked and wondered. But we're moving back to Germany. So we are very, very excited about this move. It's something we have talked about almost since we moved to America. We will have lived here for 2 years, but we have just really, really realized that our home and heart is in Germany, and we're very excited to head back this spring. So if you're hoping to get some yarn, the shop will be open, as I mentioned, until the spring, and then we will be reopening in the fall in Germany. I have recently finished something, and this is such an exciting knit to have finished because it is Elodie's Penguino. The little one's a Penguino. And the funny thing about this is I can wear it. So it's definitely more of a fitted Penguino. It's very, very cozy for me to wear. It's so warm. And it fits her pretty much exactly the way that mine fits me, which is how she wanted hers to fit her. So I knit this completely out of a Homespun House yarn. It was such an enjoyable knit. I finished it pretty quickly after I last filmed my video podcast, the previous one. I remember pretty much exactly how much each section took me, like how much amount of yarn. This took me 80 skeins, 80 grams. Each sleeve took me about 45 grams. The two shoulder pieces here took me 10 grams. The 10 gram minis came in handy so much because most of the sections used 10 grams of yarn. Most of the little sections. And then where I needed larger skeins of yarn, like here, I used 20 grams. All of these side panels were perfect for the 10 gram skeins of yarn. Because I wanted each of the welts to match, I used 20 gram skeins. So each of these welts is a 10 gram skein of yarn. So it just worked out really, really well with the amount of yarn and the colors of yarn that I had. If you want to knit the 10 or 12 size, I would definitely recommend having 3 sets of minis, 20 10 gram minis and 10 20 gram minis, and then 2 full skeins of 100 gram skeins of yarn. So it used 600 grams of yarn. And then I used 3 skeins of minty mohair. Anyway, I love this so much. Elodie loves it a lot. She does wear it most days, which is really, really nice. I mentioned before that I wasn't sure if she would actually wear it, and she does. So that makes me so happy. I love knowing that she's warm and cozy, wrapped inside of her Penguino. I knit Elodie's Penguino out of all Stellina yarn, and it just creates this really pretty halo, first of all, with the mohair, and just this really pretty glow with the Stellina. It's not overwhelming at all, and I don't even think that you necessarily would notice it always, if at all. And that's one thing that I really love about Stellina yarn and Stellina yarn with mohair. It's absolutely beautiful. So this was such a joy to knit, and Stephen West has a new shawl, something about triangles, and I absolutely love it. I'm quite tempted to knit on that. The final thing that I am working on is something for Robert, and that is what is inside of this big, beautiful, cozy memories basket. I want to mention we will no longer be selling baskets from Ghana and wax and wool candles. And I'm not sure about tuft woolens, but we definitely won't be selling baskets from Ghana and wax and wool candles when we are in Germany. There is no way that we can import those there. So I'm very, very sorry to those of you who like the stock of that in my shop, but it's just not something that we are able to sell when I live in Germany. So if you want them, definitely get them now. I will not be restocking the shop with wax and wool candles and baskets from Ghana. What is in there now is all that will be in there until a homespun house moves to Germany. So inside of this basket, I have unicorn dust, and then I have ash. I'm knitting both of these on our MCNDK. And I am knitting a Brooklyn tweed pattern. I've never ever knit a Brooklyn tweed pattern before called Tamarack. And I'm knitting the his version because there is a hers and his. And it is a bottom up cardigan. Let me just show you what I have. You start with this rib at the bottom, and then you go up and you knit endless seed stitch. So I'm really enjoying knitting this. I'm using rosewood needles and I'm using a 5.5 millimeter needle. Robert and I, we have been looking for years for a pattern of a cardigan in particular to knit him. And I finally one day was like, you know what? I have this yarn. It's been dyed forever, the unicorn dust yarn. And we need to just get a cardigan for Robert on the needles. I don't have that many knitting projects going right now. I'm literally working on his socks and his cardigan, which look how similar these colors are. Robert is definitely in a neon and black phase. So yeah, I just started browsing around and I found this pattern and I thought it looked exactly like something that Robert would wear. I showed it to him and he was really, really happy with it. It's a lot of fun to knit. I love the marling of the ash and unicorn dust. It's so much fun to see all of the different pops of color that come up in there. And I've really been enjoying this. I think this is one that this week I'm really going to try and get a dent in, and then I'm going to work on another pattern that I am designing. So I'm really, really excited about that. We have some really fun things happening in the shop. Right now we have 2 yarn clubs, Harry Potter Yarn and Charm Club, charms made by Simply Serving. I've also just introduced the Laura Ingalls Wilder Little House in the Big Woods Yarn Club, which will ship this March. Charms are also made by Lindsay of Simply Serving, and this charm is so sweet. It is such a nostalgic and kind of special little piece of the story. It is simplistic and beautiful and just kind of a spot of joy for Laura. So I know that those of you who really love the series and the book will very much appreciate this charm. So up until we move, I will be having a little house in the Big Woods, which is March. And then April will be Little House in the Prairie. And then May we'll have the 3rd Little House Yarn Club. And then we'll close it and then reopen in the fall. So yeah, I'm very, very excited for that. I hope that you guys are too. The final thing that we have in the shop are our Cozy Comfort boxes of hygge. This is the last hygge box that we will be doing before we close shop. And then we will probably start doing a new hygge box in the fall once we are in Germany. For the rest of the time that we're here in America, I will only be adding minis sets to the shop, just things that inspire me. But if you are wanting to get in on a Homespun House yarns, I definitely recommend buying what's in the shop. What's there is there. I won't be dyeing any more stock for the shop, but I will be offering the Harry Potter Yarn Club and then the Little House Yarn Club. Those will be new yarns going out. But other than that, I will not be restocking yarn in the Homespun House shop from now on. So I wanted to let everybody know that, so that if there's something that you want, you have time to make your purchases. And I hope that you guys are all as excited as we are for our move. We will be continuing our Patreon while we are moving and while we're living in Germany and while the web shop is closed. So if you're the tier that receives yarn, your 3 mini skeins of yarn, those will all be pre-dyed before we move and ready to ship. That will be our one Homespun House thing that we will be putting out. I'm happy to be able to share the news with you guys, and I will see you all soon. Bye.